All right. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Open Matt Show. I'm your host, as always, Matt. And thanks for tuning in. This is going to be a very quick episode, actually. I'm going to be done by 8 p.m., so here in about 40 minutes, roughly. The reason for that is, I don't know about you guys, but I have been absolutely locked into Survivor as of late. And it plays at 8 p.m., and for whatever fucking reason, Paramount Plus does not allow you to immediately watch a live viewing. Even though you can rewind a UFC event, you could play that from the beginning. You could do all that. For whatever reason, it won't let you do it with Survivor. So a little fucking stupid if you ask me. But those decisions are way beyond my pay grade. So who am I to question all of that? But anyways, you guys aren't here to listen to me yap about Survivor unless you are. Comment down below because I would be glad to do that. Pretty much, I got a few things I would like to talk about. Want to talk about the newest signing to that MVP Netflix card. That's pretty big if you ask me. As well as talking about my picks for the main card of UFC London this upcoming weekend. You got Movsar Evloev versus Lerone Murphy. It's a pretty good card. Yeah, it's pretty good. I would say it's like a quote unquote hardcores card almost. Weirdly enough. Yeah, even though it feels like Evloev and Murphy might be a bit big, it's really only big for UFC fans. More than ever. But sorry guys, I'm fixing my cords. They're a little bit tangled up. Anyways, yeah, let's get right into it. Like I said, first thing I would like to First thing I would like to start talking about is the new signing to this MVP Netflix card, which is Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry. So let's go over here and I forgot to freaking frame it up. Oops, sorry guys. Give me 1 second. Here we go. All right. Here we got the current card so far for the Netflix MMA card, Netflix MVP card. Now, I find it really interesting because obviously everybody is saying they're going to have the biggest events of the summer, right? There's a lot of a build up going into this whole little Netflix versus Paramount thing. outside of MMA. I mean, if you look at their bid for Warner Brothers, it seemed like Netflix had it on lock. Then out of nowhere, Paramount Plus pulled it through. Sky Network, I should say, or whatever they're called. Skydance Media Group, I believe, or something like that. Point blank, Paramount came out on top. That was something to keep an eye on uh, this year. That was a big story. Now, outside of that, we have MMA or Netflix stepping into kind of the combat sports game. They started with Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, which was a resounding success. Which I got to come back and lean on this. What was it? I think Paul Tyson was one of the biggest live sporting events ever, possibly the most viewed boxing event of all time. And a lot of people have a lot of trouble accepting that, but that's just the truth, right? Jake Paul is a name that everybody knows, especially if you're a part of the younger generation. And Mike Tyson is a name everybody knows, regardless of what generation you're in. Combine those two guys, especially one with a level of notoriety like Jake Paul, and put them on Netflix for free. That was always going to do numbers. I mean, everybody and their mom has Netflix. You can go to anybody at any given time, really on the street, and odds are they're going to have Netflix, one way or another, whether that be through family sharing or their own subscription. Everybody has Netflix and is aware of Netflix. So that's what makes this card very interesting. Now, when it was first announced, Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano, I gotta admit, I was one of the detractors, but I did always say it's going to be a massive event. It's going to be top 3 events this year. Possibly, it could be top 10 of all time. For again, the simple fact that it's on Netflix and it's Ronda Rousey. Now, I know there's a lot of new MMA fans that really weren't even around for Ronda Rousey to fight, um, but they all know of who she is. Uh, she was kind of from a time where, big names weren't really a thing everywhere. Nobody was trying to be a star, and she was a natural one. I remember being in middle school, high school, hearing about how she would beat up Floyd Mayweather. Thanks, Joe Rogan. But yeah, the kind of clasp she had on the combat sports industry at the time was insane. So the fact that you can market her return on Netflix, that alone was going to do massive numbers. Mm. And Gina Carano, I'm not. There's guys like Ariel and the unks of the MMA game claiming that, oh yeah, everybody, Gina Carano. If you're an MMA fan, Gina Carano. Listen, guys, you guys are trying to push that narrative. That's fucking bullshit. I'm sorry. Her last fight was in 2009. I think I was 7 years old. I don't know who the fuck Gina Carano is. I knew her from The Mandalorian. I knew that she got canceled by Disney Plus by the woke mob, but I did not know her as some badass MMA fighter prior to that. Call me casual, whatever the fuck, but I'm sorry, you're not going to convince me that I'm a casual for not having watched Gina Carano. I was 7 fucking years old. It is what it is, and I'm sure majority of fans right now, if you're watching this, odds are you can probably agree with me right there. You didn't even know she existed unless you were a fan of The Mandalorian and stuff like that. So obviously Gina isn't really carrying that much here. But you know what? That's not even fair to say because my true casual buddies, which again, this is kind of a litmus test. This is my anecdotal test. If my buddies hear about it, then that means it passes the casual test. My buddies actually know who Gina Carano is, and again, from The Mandalorian, and that she got canceled and all that. So it kind of checks that box there. Not completely, not everybody's going to know her, but it does bring in a potential new audience that may be more inclined to like a sport like MMA, especially when you consider the political implications of Carano's career controversies with Disney Plus. But I digress. Uh, Next on the card, we got Francis Ngannou versus Felipe Lins. Now, obviously, Lins ain't doing shit here. Lins ain't doing any lifting here. He's not carrying the load, the what's the word, the popularity load of this at all, right? The big one is Ngannou, Francis Ngannou. Ngannou once again also passes that casual anecdotal test I told you about, that litmus test I have. All my friends know of Ngannou. Now, Ngannou is/was in a weird spot right now, and he kind of always has been. All my buddies always knew of Ngannou. They recognized him. He was a big mother. He was a heavyweight champ of the UFC, and he fucking looked like it. He was in Jackass, everything like that. However, they didn't really care to watch him fight. Um, Again, it was kind of a weird gray area. And Ngannou passed that casual test. He brought in a lot of attention, but that didn't necessarily transfer over to pay-per-view buys. Ngannou isn't a pay-per-view draw. That's just the facts. And I'm a big Ngannou glazer slash fan. Now, it's not a bad thing. That's okay. But like I said, he passes the eye test, the casual appeal. So putting a guy like Ngannou on the poster behind a Ronda Rousey, behind a Gina Carano on Netflix, right there for free. You open Netflix, it's sitting right there. Gina Carano versus Ronda Rousey, Francis Ngannou. You know those little trailers that Netflix will play you when you're hovering over a show. It starts playing you the promos for it. Oh, it happens to be next week at 8 p.m. That's going to bring in a shit ton of views, a shit ton of views. It's going to be hard to beat, and I honestly truly understand why a lot of people are saying this may be the biggest event of the summer. Uh, Now we're going to get to this newest announcement, but let's compare the main event and co-main event with the main event and co-main event of the White House card, right? So here we got UFC Freedom Fights 250. They still haven't officially uploaded the logo. Once again, adding credibility to the theory that it was a AI slop logo, which it really did look like it. I need to register my interest. I'm gonna get one of those $85,000 tickets, guys. I'm gonna be there. Um, Anyways, this is the main card of it, right? So let's compare the main event and co-main event to the main event and co-main event of this Netflix card. So we got Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano versus Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje. Now, I think there's two different criterias we could go off of here. We could go off of the viewership and attention and media this is going to get, and we could go over the actual quality of a fight. How much does an MMA fan, a true fight fan, want to see this? Now, to a lot of people, this is clear. Obviously, the White House one is going to win and all that, but I thoroughly disagree. I'm sorry. As of right now, as of the way things currently stand right now, I do believe that Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano is the bigger uh, attention grabbing fight, headline grabbing fight. Now, hear me out. If we're talking about pure MMA media and everything like that, Ilia Gaethje will probably have more headlines realistically. There's more to talk about, more to anticipate. It has more consequences to the future of the sport compared to Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano. However, the spread that Ronda Rousey on Netflix is going to have will be fucking crazy. I feel like it's going to go everywhere. Everybody's going to see it, especially once they announce a full card and really start ramping up the media. I don't imagine they're going to be complacent the way the UFC has been. Imagine they'll be the opposite to kind of market that, like, hey, we're not the UFC, we market our people. Um, I think that'll get a lot of casual eyes, especially if they have Ronda popping up at random events here and there. Ronda will get attention for sure. Again, she's a part of that very, very rare group of people that truly transcended the sport and that people just recognize as a character. John Jones is one. McGregor is one. Diaz is one. Nate Diaz, not even Nate Diaz, just Nate Diaz. Ronda Rousey is one. And Nunez was there, but she kind of fell off. O'Malley was getting close, but he kind of fell off. Um, but point is, there's not a lot of people that like are truly known outside of the sport. Like truly, there's very, very few. I would say four. I wouldn't even put an Ngannou up there, and I would say he's very well known. It's definitely not a Tom Aspinall. But anyways, uh, shit, Froda. Anyways, this is a really big fight. Pretty much, that's what I'm getting at. Rousey's is gonna get a lot of headlines everywhere, especially if you have her pop up at random events. Blah blah blah. I can't say the same about Ngannou versus Felipe Lins. Maybe Ngannou, but I would say Ngannou has as much fan variety as an Ilia Topuria does, as a Justin Gaethje. Hell, I would say Ngannou has more casual appeal than an Ilia Topuria. Now, I do have buddies I know of Justin Gaethje, but that's just because Gaethje has been around for so long. UFC 300, he got knocked out by Max Holloway. They saw that clip. Um, so yeah, obviously the Ilya Gaethje. If I had to watch one or the other, I'm gonna watch Ilya v Gaethje, right? I'm not by no means am I saying that Rousey versus Carano is a better fight, but in terms of media and name grabbing, and when you really consider the platform, there's a very solid chance Rousey Carano are gonna get more views, and that kind of tells the story of the whole card, to be honest. Obviously, we compare the co-main Ngannou versus Lins compared to Chama Pereira versus Gone. Obviously, the heavyweight match blows it out the water. Um, when we were looking at the co-main and main event, when we were comparing the top two fights compared to the top two fights, it wasn't looking too good for this Netflix card. Although, based off of the fact it was on Netflix and Ronda Rousey alone, I felt like it was going to be able to compete with views, and it still will. However, this newest signing on the card kind of changes everything, if you ask me. We got Nate Diaz versus Mike fucking Perry. And, it goes without saying, fight fans, this is a banger fucking fight. Uh, this is a banger fight. We all want to watch it. Um, yeah, it's just a really good fight. Uh, I feel, how dare I say, the true BMF fight right there. We know Diaz should be down to brawl. I don't know. In this current age, we haven't seen him fight MMA for a long time. Same with Mike Perry. We haven't seen him fight MMA in a while, but we know he's a dog. We know he's gonna go out there and fucking stand and bang, do his bare knuckle gimmick in the octagon. That's really interesting. And again, like I said, I don't think that like any of these fights are better than the White House card fights. Really, I truly don't. I mean, I would take Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry over Bo Nickel versus Kyle Dawkins, right? But these these are I don't even know how to explain it. These are obviously really good fights, but the fact that they were willing to make a fighters fight, like this is something that MMA fans want to see, a Diaz versus Mike Perry. Uh, and Diaz is a big casual name in of himself. I'm sitting here talking about the quality of the fight of Diaz versus Mike Perry, but dare I say, Nate Diaz might have more casual weight, name recognition than an Ngannou. Maybe a Ronda Rousey. That might be a bit of a stretch, but my buddies too. My casual again. I keep referring to my casual buddies. It's just a really good litmus test I have. They really don't give a fuck about anything combat other than Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, the big names. They somehow got fooled into watching Nate Diaz versus Tony Ferguson. They thought Nate was like one of the best to ever do it. And they hold Nate in a high regard. So again, I'm not in no way, shape, or form am I saying these fights are better than the White House card fights. That's just not true. That's objectively not true. Although this Diaz Mike Perry one has a potential to actually really be up there in terms of great fights. But however, when you combine the fact that this is on Netflix, it's up there. Jake Paul's going to be pushing it really hard. You got Ronda Rousey, you got Ngannou, you got Nate. Especially when you really kind of do the, take down the big man kind of thing. Fuck TKO. We do better things over here. The Jake Paul v Dana White rivalry. If they really market this up and make this could be the perfect storm. That's what I'm getting at. They could really package this up well. However, I do think that the UFC, I truly do believe that they have. It is, and I'm not trying to say that it's not like I'm not trying to say that it's a true proper UFC competitor. Um, but but I am saying that in terms of viewership, in terms of a one-off big event, Netflix just that should bring so much to the fucking table. That might be White House on Paramount Plus. It makes you want. I mean, not a lot of people have Paramount Plus, if we're being real. That might change in the future now that they got Warner Bros. And HBO. But as of now, right now, not a lot of people have Paramount. Um, and considering the controversies of the current administration, the war, everything going on, how many people are even going to be incentivized to go out their way to get Paramount for a White House card? Everybody already has Netflix. That's pretty much what I'm getting at here. They're going to be getting served commercials, trailers, promos for this fight, the Rousey fight, uh, in the upcoming months, probably leading up to the fight itself. Uh, I don't know. It's really interesting, but in my opinion, the ace up their sleeve that the UFC has, they have two. They have two. One is obviously Conor McGregor. Throw him on anything. You can throw him on International Fight Week. They're going to have the biggest event of the year, no doubt. Number two is how much is the Don, Donnie Trump himself, the president of the United States, how much is he going to market this fight? Because every time he talked about it, it got massive views, massive likes, massive everything. But he hasn't talked about it in a while. Strickland's gonna be demolished. What a D2 time. Hope no military threat happens at the White House shit. See, I don't think anything like that will happen. That would be crazy. When Joe Rogan said that, everybody in one place at one time, everybody knows it's coming. That did have me think. I don't know if anybody has seen Attack on Titan, but there's like a scene later on where a guy he has like a whole recital or a whole rally, and he knows that he's gonna die there to rally up the troops. I kind of get the same vibes out of that. But I don't think Dana White would be self-righteous enough to sacrifice himself for a war cause. So I think they're going to be pretty safe. I think they're going to be pretty safe. Uh, but honestly, don't care for the main event for which one? Rousey v. I'm assuming you're referring to Rousey v. Carano, instead of Iliev or v. Gaethje. I would imagine. And again, I'm not saying that Rousey v. Carano is like some massive fight. I really don't think it is. But it's just the fact that Rousey's name is gonna be up there on Netflix as like the top banner thing when you open the app. That's gonna be real impressive. Yeah, Ngannou will for sure win by KO in round one. I agree with that. He's way above Linz's level. The Diaz Perry one, that one I'm really interested in. I actually am a little worried Diaz might just like kind of wrestle fuck Perry. It's not the Diaz of old. But when has he ever really done that, right? But I don't know, man. He's a bit older. Once he takes a couple shots from Perry, you never know. But yeah, I do agree Diaz will likely submit Perry. Trump gives two shit about the UFC right now. Trump is going down even though it's going to get political here, lol. Yeah, like I that's what I'm curious on pretty much is how much is Trump and the White House, like, how much are they gonna market it? Because I've said from the jump, it with all those guys, like, if they truly have, like, the White House marketing and them making memes and shit for them, or, like, Trump just talking about it, that's gonna put it way above the Netflix card. It just will, straight up. The amount of attention it'll draw, good or not, it'll just put it above the Netflix card. However, we haven't seen any of that since early on, since when the fight was announced. And if that doesn't happen, then this Netflix card might beat it in terms of viewership. Wouldn't be surprised if the fights end up being one-sided. Perry was a terrible MMA fighter. Yeah, yeah. I do agree. I do agree. I mean, I'm not saying that these Netflix fights are good. Aside from Diaz v. Perry, that might be good, just because Diaz is like prime for prime. Yeah, Diaz would smoke Perry, but Diaz kind of looked washed. I feel like in his last bout against Tony. Perry, like you said, he was never really a good MMA fighter. Um, so I don't know. I feel like that it might be a good matchup at this time. I'm curious at what weight though, or welterweight. There we go. Tickets are going to be expensive as fuck. Well, he said there's going to be 85,000 tickets for free, which I was talking to a buddy about that. Like they're not no way they're even going to be across the lawn. It's probably going to be some weird facility like 5 miles down the street or something. They're not going to lay 85,000 fucking people near the goddamn White House where the president lives in the middle of a potentially the start of World War III. Benjamin Netanyahu will be at the White House, not Trump. Possible. I don't think he'd do it. I mean, you never know. The fact that they didn't put Strickland on this shit, that might be why. That might be why. Perry versus Diaz and BKFC sounds better. Oh yeah, give me. Take my fucking money. I would take that any day, any fucking day. That's what I really like about BKFC or specifically Perry. It's really cool. He's had a sudden resurgence in BKFC. It's weird how it just suits him. It's very interesting. And I hold Perry at BKFC in a high regard. The fact that he beat MVP in there, that was pretty fucking impressive. That was pretty impressive, if you ask me. Um, but yeah, I mean, in terms of this card, like I said, right? If we're being real, what's better in terms of just a headliner? Let's say this were a headliner, right? Sean O'Malley versus Eamon Zahabi, or Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry. Um, Obviously O'Malley's a big name, but Zahabi kind of stinks this matchup up. If we're being real, I mean, it's not a bad matchup. It's not terrible. It's not a bad fight. It's a pretty good fight. But if we're talking about casual appeal and name recognition, Diaz v. Perry will go a lot further on Netflix. I feel like will go a lot further than and O'Malley versus quote unquote Zahabi at the White House. Now, again, it seems, in my opinion, very evenly stacked when you compare all of that. If you had both of these on Netflix, the UFC one blows the Netflix one out the water, but it's on Paramount Plus, and that's kind of the issue here. Um, it will be on CBS, I guess, but again, it we don't know how many people are truly going to be interested in watching this card. Now, see, I agree with you. I would never miss an Ilya, Alex, or O'Malley fight. I wouldn't. Um, Again, like these fight. If you're a fighter, like a fight fan, if you're a proper fight fan, the choice is clear. You're going to be watching the White House card, obviously. But if we're referring to instant clicks, like casual viewers, just general viewership, like YouTube views almost, um, this Netflix one is almost like the equivalent of like a Mr. Beast clickbait thumbnail. It's gonna get the views. It's gonna get the views. Now we just got to see how well they market the freedom fights. Again, I feel like it's not good that they don't have any like coloring here or anything. And again, I still think as of now this is going to be the biggest event of the summer. However, if they don't like market it good, if they get a little bit lazy with their marketing, um, Netflix Ronda Rousey could steal it. And again, Gina Carano brings a little bit of name recognition. If you're, political a bit, you're familiar with her cancellation, Disney Plus, and all that, the woke getting her, then you might be supporting her. One of my buddies, he's not into combat sports at all, but he's a political guy. He fucking knows who Gina Carano is. I was so shocked to hear that. Um, Conor versus Colby should be on the White House. Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna be honest. I think they did Colby dirty. And listen, I don't like Colby as much as the next guy, even though I don't mind him that much, but I get it. He's kind of a clown, goofs off a little bit, doesn't back it up too much. Um, but they did him fucking dirty. If there was a guy to get on that card, it was Colby Covington. However, if he truly did turn down Bo Nickel, that's on him. Um, if it were up to me, I mean, you have Bo v. Colby. If you can't get Bo v. Colby, you have Bo and Colby on the card fighting somebody else to build up to the Bo v. Colby. Um, but I'm gonna be honest. I think Colby might lose that. Colby's older, and he's smaller, the smaller guy, right? That's obviously the biggest thing there. He's just not as good of a wrestler as Bo was, I would imagine, and that's Colby's bread and butter. So, and Bo's seemingly getting better. Like I said, I don't know. It would have been a good proper passing of the torch. Connor v. Colby isn't a bad shout, to be honest. That would be interesting, but honestly, I don't think they would do it. Um they wouldn't want Conor McGregor to get wrestle fucked. Oh, and if they do, they're not gonna have him get wrestle fucked by Colby Covington, I would imagine. They're gonna want to feed him to an up and comer, put somebody over. Which is again why I'm kind of shocked we didn't get Colby v. Bo. But if Bo is telling the truth, then Colby Covington may have ducked him. May have ducked him. And now I don't think Colby's in a position to be picking and choosing his opponents, but regardless, I think the UFC did him dirty by not putting him on the White House. It makes you wonder, and it's kind of the whole inspiration behind my thumbnail here. Is this going to be the perfect storm to challenge the UFC? Finally, will this be the thing that leads to fighter pay? You have an Adesanya, an O'Malley, a Colby, a McGregor potentially. Um, Talking about contracts and fighter pay and not getting what they deserve. If you get the top guys to start a union or something, who knows? Who knows? The little guys might follow. And I'm gonna be a cold motherfucker when I say this. I don't really like as a fan. I don't like they're not paying my bills either fucking way with how much money they get, right? But I do fully agree with the NCAA deal becoming a thing where all these young athletes are now getting good fucking money in college. Um, we in 10 years, the UFC quality will drop because you're not getting wrestlers anymore. You're not getting collegiate athletes anymore because they don't need the money. The pay is going to have to change. Something is going to have to fucking give. And we have a lot of wrestlers coming out talking about it now, but it seems like we won't feel the consequences of it until probably years from now. Uh, but, anyways, let me know what you guys think on that. Do you think this Diaz v. Perry signing changes much, let me know. But I'm gonna move on to talking about my picks for the main event of Evloev versus Murphy, UFC London. And again, there's a quick stream today. I'm gonna finish by 8 p.m. Eastern time, so here in about 20 minutes because I need to go watch Survivor. And shitty Paramount Plus doesn't let you fucking rewind it. If you miss it live, you have to watch it at 3 a.m. And I don't want to stay up till 3 a.m. today. Armand versus Charles rematch should be on there too. That's a good fight. Yeah, I agree. But clearly Armand is in the fucking doghouse for whatever reason. I mean, I don't know. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes, but I don't know. It seems like anything Armand does at this point, Dana hates. Armand probably, or Dana probably wishes Armand just shut up, disappeared. But now Armand's getting a good backing, and Dana probably hates that. But let's do some quick picks of this main card. It's a pretty solid card, especially if you're a UK European MMA fan. We got the Pink Panther, Curtis Campbell versus Danny Silva. I'm gonna go with Curtis Campbell. I mean, I just feel like a lot of these are somewhat layups. Is that fair to say? I don't know. Is this his debut? It might be. Yeah, it's his debut. So yeah, I was gonna say I haven't beaten Danny Silva. He's a pretty solid striker. I would imagine he's gonna probably finish Silva. We got Roman Dolidze versus CLD, Christian Leroy Duncan. I want to lean CLD just because I feel like Dolidze hasn't been that guy for a little while now. Um, but you never know. Dolidze could come in a vintage performance, but I'm gonna be honest. I feel like CLD he's just the quicker guy, the snappier guy. In my opinion, the better striker. He's just gonna probably be too quick for Dolidze. I imagine Dolidze is gonna be a beat behind. He seemingly gets slower every time he comes out, and that's just what happens in fighting. You know, you have short peaks, short primes, seemingly. So next one we got Ivan Baraniski versus Austin Lane. I'm gonna be honest, guys. This is kind of dumb. So obviously, Ewo. I said Ivan. Obviously, Ewo is gonna win. Like clearly, I mean, look, guys, look, he's 2-0. Poland on the London card, fighting a fucking 13-7 American Austin Lane, right? Obviously, Ewo was gonna win. I'm gonna be honest. I'm low key feeling Austin here. I don't know, man. He's the bigger man. He's not the best. He's not really better at anything, but he's the bigger man. Okay. I don't know, man. I got to pick an American on one of these fights. I'm not. I'm gonna go with Austin Lane. I don't know. The 2-0 ain't looking too pretty to me. And you're not Jan Blachowicz, little bro. You're not Jan. But Austin's a big dude. He's clearly a bigger dude. So I don't know. Ewo is probably gonna run circles around him, but Austin might. He could land a big pop. I don't think I've seen Ewo get rocked before. Now here we go. Now we're kind of getting into the interesting fights of them. I'm sure you could tell. I don't. We got MVP versus Sam Patterson. Now this is really good. A really good matchup. Obviously, I'm gonna have to go with MVP. His reach, even though the reach is actually pretty close, I didn't know that. Seemingly physically, these guys are pretty close matched, but MVP's been looking good, man. Weirdly enough, he's hitting like a resurgence, dare I say. Unless Sam Patterson can somehow wrestle fuck him, which he could, and right, there's a good point. MVP said he didn't like the matchup he got. I just do feel like MVP knows he has one glaring weakness, and unless you're at a certain level of grappling, you're not beating MVP. It's just that simple. I don't know if Sam Patterson has that level of grappling that is needed to take down MVP and hold him there. He might. But again, MVP's a bigger guy. He's very slick on the feet. And unless Sam can spam him and get him down right away, I would imagine MVP is going to win this. I'm very curious on what the odds would be. I wish a UFC site was good at showing the odds. Man, I really want to see the odds on this. Let's see who Sam fought last. Ray Waters. Yeah. Yeah. Again, this is just a kind of a classic striker versus grappler matchup. If Sam's gonna get Paige down and can keep him there, Sam's probably gonna win. If Paige can defend that, Paige will probably stay up top and get the victory. He'll probably poke and prod his way to victory like he normally does. So yeah, I got the Pink Panther. I got CLD. I got Ewo, unfortunately, although Austin Lane could land something. And I got MVP here. He's the ranked guy for a reason. Although this may be kind of putting putting the young buck over. He may be put in there to be putting Sam Patterson over, because Sam has good grappling, and that might be the UFC's plan. But hopefully MVP will prevail, because I do want to see him like Wonder Boy, or just interesting strikers, right? Adesanya, fuck it. There's a lot of good fights for MVP still out there. Uh, so next fight, we are on the co-main event. We got Luke Riley versus Michael Aswell Jr. Now, Luke Riley has been looking really, really good. He's got great hands, 12-0 undefeated, taking on Michael Aswell Jr., which Michael's been looking pretty good too. Let's look at his last fight. If is it who I Almeida, right? Shit, who were his last few? Who was the one before that? Oki. Okay, shit. Okay, I do remember that. I do remember him losing against Oakley. I thought he beat Oki, but he didn't. But he did beat Almeida. So obviously, this is kind of supposed to be a layup for Luke Riley. Although Aswell could provide a lot of problems. However, I got to go with Luke Riley here. I mean, he's the better striker. He has more power, I would say. Aswell's a tough motherfucker. Uh, I think he got rocked in that Oki fight. But other than that, he seemingly has a really great chin. However, that doesn't bode well, especially when you're going against guys like Luke Riley. Again, Luke he has all the momentum. He has a quick hands, good power for the weight class. I imagine he's going to get a solid victory against Michael Aswell, unless he slips on a banana peel or something. So now we're on the main event. This has heavy, heavy, heavy implications for the heavyweight division, or the featherweight division. We got Movsar Evloev versus Lerone Murphy. I'm pretty excited about this one. Both of these guys undefeated. In the past, Murphy even implied that he slept Evloev in the training room, which if that truly happened, then who knows how this is going to go. I'm going to be honest. Until I heard that information, I thought Evloev would just wrestle fuck Murphy. But if that's actually true, which seemingly it was, Murphy had proof, this is going to be a really good fucking fight. We're going to find out just how good both of these guys are. We know Evloev is a beautiful grappler, solid on the feet. We know Murphy is a beautiful striker. We don't know how he is on the ground, to be honest. So there's a little bit of question there for Murphy. There's not really too much for Evloev. We kind of know the ceiling to his skill. So with that, weirdly enough, I do want to go with, I don't know, this is a tough one for me, because I think it's going to come down to Murphy's grappling. Murphy is clearly the better striker, in my opinion. He's the better striker. However, if he could get his grappling just good enough to defend himself, it doesn't even need to be like crazy insane defense, ever get taken to the ground. Just to defend himself, stop any damage from happening, slowly get back up, he will win this fight. He will piece up Evloev, and if he can avoid any damage, any attempts on the ground, he will win. Now, on the other hand, if Murphy doesn't have grappling, if it turns out Evloev will take him down easy and hold him down easy, Murphy's fucked. Personally, I want Murphy to win this fight. I do. I would love to see Murphy versus Volk. I think that's a really interesting fight, striking-wise. And I just would love to see how that goes. However, like I said, Evloev has proven himself time and time again, in my opinion. And it's not fair to say Murphy hasn't. It's not. But we've really only seen one side of Murphy. We haven't seen his full game. Whereas I am confident in Evloev's full game. So because of that, I am going to have to go with Movsar Evloev. And again, who knows? Who knows? Murphy could be really fucking hard to take down. He could be really good with the grappling, and he could completely stop Movsar. Who knows? But like I said, we just haven't seen Murphy grapple, defend takedowns, perform at that level of grappling yet. Whereas we've seen Evloev strike. We've seen him comfortable with the strike, and we've seen him obviously grapple. We haven't seen that full range of high elite level skill / comfortability in Murphy that we have in Evloev. So because of that, I am going to have to go with Evloev here. And like I said, I want Murphy to win, but like I said, I do think Evloev is just going to take that. So let's go over my quick picks here, because I got 10 more minutes before I got to get off here, guys. Again, I'm ending early because I really want to watch Survivor. I really, really, really fucking want to watch Survivor. I'm tired of missing it and waiting until 3 a.m. in the morning Eastern time to watch it. Paramount Plus, if for whatever reason one of your executives are watching this, for the love of fucking God, please make it to where you can restart the goddamn live stream. The way you can with the UFC and sports events, make it that way for Survivor as well. Fucking please. Anyways, so yeah, my picks are the Pink Panther, Curtis Campbell, CLD. I got Evo. I got Michael Page, although Sam Patterson might just wrestle fuck him. I got Luke Riley, and I got Movsar Evloev. So those are my picks, guys. Something I would like to go over really quick is obviously, seemingly, the winner of this fight is going to be fighting Volk for the title. However, today, John Silva came out with a tweet / something saying that he is going to be flying out to UFC London and that he was invited by Dana White and Hunter Campbell. And per his words, he will be signing to fight for the title. So here's my assumption. Here's my little deciphering of that. Dana White and Hunter Campbell probably did invite John Silva there. They probably did invite him there. Now, if Evloev and Murphy is a banger fight, if that's fucking crazy, which it has a very high probability to be, whoever wins that is going to get the title shot, obviously, as they should. However, if this turns into a fucking dud, if this is like completely boring, Evloev just wrestle fucks Murphy for fucking 24 minutes and no submission attempts, Murphy defending him well, really boring fight that Dana White hates. They have John Silva right there to negotiate and sign a contract with to fight Volkanovski for the belt. You feed the winner of Lopez Garcia to the winner of Evloev v. Murphy. And I think that only happens if it's such a boring fight that the audience is booing, which that would take a lot for them to boo a Murphy, right? Again, there is obviously probability of it being a boring fight. However, I truly do think it's low. I would imagine Murphy is well aware of what Evloev is trying to do to him. And again, if it's true that Murphy did sleep Evloev in the training room, this fight is probably going to be fucking fireworks. If that truly is true, because then that means Murphy can handle himself on the ground. But yeah, I mean, I'm in terms of exciting fights, Silva versus Volkanovski is really good. You're not really going to hear me complain. Although it kind of similar to Strickland versus Chimaev, which I haven't even talked about that yet, man. And I gotta wrap this stream up here in like 8 minutes so I can watch Survivor. But it's kind of the Silva v Volkanovski would be similar to Chimaev v Strickland. Yeah, they kind of did Imavov dirty, but I understand why they made this fight. If Murphy and Evloev have a really boring fight, they would be doing the winner of that very dirty, but I would totally understand like the marketing aspect of why you would want Volkanovski versus Silva over anything else, over any other option. Although I do think that Murphy v Volk would be fucking fireworks in the cage. I really do. Both of them are very good calculated strikers. But yeah, I kind of want to touch on Chimaev v Strickland. I didn't get anything pulled up ready for this. Let me just look up a quick little picture so there's some background. Chimaev v Strickland, yeah. Again, I'm not really mad at this. It wasn't a bad shout or bad signing at all. I mean, yeah, it should have gone to Imavov when you look at the records and all that. But at the end of the day, this is a business. Yeah, they don't have to sell pay-per-views, but they need some interesting main events. Chimaev versus Imavov isn't doing it, right? That's not paying the bills. However, we know Sean Strickland brings in fucking views. Whatever you think of him, Strickland brings in the fucking views. And especially when in the post-fight interview, he's already calling Chimaev a goat fucker. This thing is going to be big. He's already calling out Kadyrov and shit like that. It's going to be big. Realistically, Strickland's going to get submitted in the first round. We all know how this is going to end. Strickland ain't going to win this, but Strickland has beaten the odds before. And I would be geeked as fuck if Strickland somehow beat Chimaev. The memes of that would be legendary. It would just change everything, right? But we all know that's not going to happen. It's going to be a really fun build-up, but Chimaev's going to probably break Strickland's jaw similar to Whitaker, or at least try to. Who knows? Actually, I feel like the Chris Curtis versus Oralby fight is actually kind of like foreshadowing for the Strickland Chimaev fight. I think similar to the Curtis Oralby fight, Oralby just kind of held Curtis down for most of that fight. Attempted a few submissions here and there, but not really close to getting anything. I kind of see the Strickland Chimaev fight going very similarly. very few striking on the feet. I think Strickland is probably the better striker. Chimaev just takes him down, and then maybe Strickland's good enough to not get submitted, but it's going to be very boring. That's just what I predict. I would hope not. I really would hope not. But honestly, aside from Chimaev being a dumbass and staying on the feet, I don't see Strickland winning this fight at all. Right. Unless like Chimaev tries to spend the first round on the feet, he gets rocked like Adesanya did against Strickland and never recovers. Um, there's no way Strickland wins this, right? I mean, yeah, there's all that training footage or training room crap that everybody's talking about. But for those who have been tuned into this for a while, the original like narrative that came out of that was Chimaev dominated everybody in there. Now Strickland's trying to rewrite it, but in my opinion, it's a little too late for that. If he truly felt like that's not how it went down, I imagine he would have spoke up back then, like a year ago when this all first came out. But he didn't. Um, I mean, again, I don't know. Who knows how this fight will go? But I mean, it's hard to see Sean Strickland beating Chimaev. It really, really is. Although I'm open to it, absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, I don't really have much else to say about this. There's some other interest. I mean, there's nothing really too crazy on here. Return to Yawn, I guess. Brady versus Buckley. That's not a bad fight. Volkov. I mean, what happened to Dana White taking care of him after the Gone fight, right? It should be fucking Volkov v Pereira at the White House. Kind of joking here, but I'm probably gonna wrap it up, guys. To be honest with you, feel like we covered a lot. Covered Evloev v Murphy again. For those of you who are just tuning in, here are my quick picks: Pink Panther, CLD, Ewo, MVP. Although I'm not sure on this one. Luke Riley and Evloev. Um, and yeah, guys, that's really it. Again, thanks for tuning in. I just want to, sorry for how quick and abrupt this is going to be. I'm a big fan of Survivor, and I've said it a million times. Paramount Plus is fucking stupid, and they are I don't know if I can say that on YouTube. They're mentally disabled. For whatever fucking reason, Paramount Plus doesn't let you rewind live TV events. You could rewatch UFC. You could restart that from the beginning. Any sporting event you can. But for whatever fucking reason, a pre-recorded show such as Survivor, and will let you restart it. It'll make you watch it live no matter when you tune in, or watch it at 3 a.m. when they upload it Eastern time. So fuck Paramount Plus for that. That alone is making me want to watch the Ronda Rousey Gina Carano card. They need to fix that shit. But because of that, I'm into the stream early because I really want to go watch Survivor. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This is the Open Mat Show. I'm your host, Matt. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow me over on Twitter at OpenMatShowLIVE. I respond to all MMA news live over there. And comment down below. What did you think of my picks? What do you think of Chimaev v Strickland? And what do you think of the, Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry announcement? Do you think this Netflix card really has a chance to be the biggest card of the summer? Does it really have a chance to defeat Dana White, UFC, TKO, and the White House? How much is Netflix really carrying that? Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of my picks, all that. And yeah, every like, every comment, every view, every interaction, guys, it goes a very, very, very long way. I'm a very small channel. It truly means everything to me. So thank you for tuning in and spending your time here. I will see you guys next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We'll have a slightly longer stream there. I just really want to watch today's Survivor episode. So yeah, follow me over on Twitter, guys. Thanks for tuning in. See you next Wednesday. Goodbye.